the worrying thing is that this could so easily lead to a violent storm.
The most dangerous person in the world is a broke and a lone male.
Oh, cool. This guy's got my take. True. Damn. Wait, seriously? Wait, hold on. Wait.
Something bad is beginning to unfold in economically developed nations. Young men are abandoning colleges at a rapid rate.
An NYU professor says fewer men going to college will lead to a mating crisis, with the U.S. producing too many broke and alone men.
This is really not good for society. Like it or not, a four-year college degree is required for entry to the upper echelon of America.
Women with college degrees don't want to partner with men who don't have a college degree.
The mating inequality that's going to come out of this dearth of men in college poses an existential risk to our economy and our society.
As women continue to excel in education and the workplace alike, an ever-increasing number of the male population are withdrawing. In the last 10 years, the number of men between the ages of 18 and 30 reporting no sex in the last year has tripled. And the worrying thing is that this could so easily lead to a violent storm.
The most dangerous person in the world is a broke and a lone male, and we are producing too many of them.
The future for relationships between men and women is starting to look bleak.
If men don't kill themselves, they're exiting education and society and family life at the highest rates ever. Women are frantically pursuing careers only to discover that they're unable to find a partner that they're attracted to and then jump on meds at 40 years old. And then the people who want kids can't find a partner that does as well. Birth rates declining, faith in the leaders and the news organizations non-existent, and everyone's just about sufficiently sedated not to notice or care that it's going on.
That's a precise and accurate summary of how the West has declined and will collapse, yes.
Wow.
In the not too distant past, marriage preceded sex, and young women were sold by their families to eligible men of equal or superior social status. These young women had little say in the matter, and once they were married, they remained dependent on their husband's earnings until they died. The lives of both men and women were extremely tough. Most men suffered grueling days in the fields, earning very little money, and most women suffered grueling days in the home, earning no money. Women tended to their children, but also to domestic duties, which back then were far more difficult and time-consuming. The technologies we take for granted today, like the vacuum cleaner, electric washing machine, dishwasher, and so on, had yet to come to humanity's aid. Even when the Industrial Revolution was in full swing, many households, especially those in rural areas, still didn't have running tap water. But everything changed in the 20th century. In the United States, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, ratified in the year of 1920, permitted women the right to vote, and a series of technological advancements followed, which began to turn the tide. Chief among these developments were the electric washing machine and the birth control pill.
The introduction of the pill caused a tremendous social shift. Unmarried women were able to have sex without getting pregnant, which is enormously significant because you didn't have to get married to have sex, or you didn't have to risk an abortion.
Control over the reproductive process in particular meant that women were free to pursue educational and economic success for the first time in history.
Son of a bitch! We struck the mother lode!
Oh, cool. This guy's got my take. True.
Marriage became a matter of choice as opposed to a social or economic necessity. By 1970, 50% of single women and 40% of married women were participating in the labor force, and 1981 was the last year that more men than women graduated from a 4-year undergraduate program. Now, 60 years after the release of the birth control pill, young women are steaming ahead. In the UK, women in their 20s earn, on average, $1,100 more per annum than their male counterparts.
Damn. Wait, seriously? Jesus Christ.
And they're doing way better than men on the educational front.
What's happened is that males have fallen rapidly behind females at every stage of the education system and in every advanced economy in the world. On pretty much every measure you can look at, girls are ahead of boys, and that's increasingly true even in subjects like math and science. Nobody predicted that once girls and women caught up with boys and men, that they would keep going, and that we would now have a bigger gender gap in higher education than we did 50 years ago, just the other way around.
After centuries of men dominating the economy, most of the job growth is in industries where women traditionally work. and those jobs require more education. The latest piece of data is that women are dominating college enrollment. In a few years, 2 women will earn a degree for every 1 man. In fairness, many young men are dodging college with good reason.
The typical graduate of a 4-year university is going to walk into their first job with $26,000 in debt. And all too often, that college degree, which was supposed to...
Wait, hold on. Wait. You can't just talk about how women are pulling ahead and all this shit because they're getting more education, because they're doing better jobs, and then turn around and go like, well, but also college degrees are horrible. Wait, where are we going with this? Hold on.
Promise of stable middle-class life is falling far short of expectations. About a third of the nation's colleges leave students high and dry, earning less after obtaining their degree than the typical high school graduate 10 years after graduation. Somewhere around 40% of college grads are underemployed. That means they're working in jobs that do not actually require a 4-year degree.
But the fact remains that adults with a bachelor's degree earn an average of $2.8 million during their careers.
That was such a weird pivot. Like, women are crushing men in the job market because they're working jobs that require more education, and they're crushing men in education. But boys are smart for not going to college because college degrees suck. But anyway, back to why college degrees are amazing. Wait, what? I'm so confused. What is the argument we're trying to make here?
1.2 million more than the median for workers with a high school diploma.
Think about how many jobs that have nothing to do with college still require a degree. And from there, that's just the entry point. Media, economics, politics, law, business.
Someday we'll go search for these, but not today, I'm too lazy. I got an interesting email where a guy made a point that I don't think he linked me any studies either. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But the people cite it as a negative that people with college degrees are underemployed. They'll say that, like, it's not good that people with college degrees aren't even working in the fields that they got the college degree on. And that'll be cited as evidence that the degree is bad. The guy that emailed me made the argument that that's not necessarily a bad thing. And in some ways, it might even be a stronger argument for the degree, though. That, like, college degrees are so good that, like, you can get jobs outside of your area of expertise even because you have the college degree, which in a roundabout way is the argument that guy on the Hill, the Rising show or whatever, just made too. That, like, a lot of jobs need college degrees, even if your degree isn't necessarily relevant. Also, I'm gonna be honest, because I've been out of the job market for a long time, the traditional job market, but back 10 or 15 years ago, it wasn't uncommon that even at, like, the casino, even for some of the corporate jobs, now I don't know if this is the case, qualifying a million times, I don't know if this is the case, but even for some corporate jobs, having any degree is a requirement for certain promotions. That, like, if you're working in some manager level and you want to move up to the next level, if you're doing middle management, or even if you're doing, like, front of house, or, like, you're some type of supervisor role, or in HR or whatever, if you want to move up to the next position, the company will pay for you to get any degree ever because you need a degree to go to the next step. I don't know if that's the same anymore, but that used to be the case. So, like, you might get a degree and you might be, like, underemployed and that you're not in a field where your degree is relevant, but that doesn't matter. Like, just having the degree was an asset there, you know. But I don't know. I don't know if that is the case. By the way, that was somebody made that argument, and I thought it was interesting. But yeah.
All professional jobs today require a college degree. It's simply a bare minimum to even get a shot at competing.
That's the argument he's making.
Ultimately, it all depends on the individual college and student, respectively. A declining male presence in higher education suggests that men are on the road to becoming less competitive in the economic sphere than before. And that's bad news for the dating market. Why? Because women are hypergamous, which means that they're biologically wired to select sexual partners who are as competent or more competent than they are. Hypergamy is a good thing, for if our female ancestors had been inclined to have sex with and reproduce with men who are unable to defend or acquire resources for them, our species probably would have died out a very long time ago. But see, the thing is, when women become the higher achieving sex in the social order, hypergamy prevents many men and women from finding suitable mates, because a large pool of women find attraction in only a very small pool of highly promising or successful men.
I just want to know why it is so hard to find a guy that I'm attracted to.
And now we jump off the cliff to the Evo Psych analysis. Can you lay out your hypergamy argument? I have to do some digging for where hypergamy arguments come from, because I don't think it's found in any data anywhere. I've said it a million times. People tend to date within their age group. I think women tend to date about 4 years up. Women tend to date within their socio-economic class. Women tend to date within their race. And they tend to date in their geographic area. That's throughout almost all of human history, that's been the case. I don't know if that's changing recently, but the idea that like hypergamy is some like historical like reality, it's just not true. So I don't know where they get that argument from, if it's just purely theoretically driven and they don't have like any data for it, or if there's some data that they pull from that I'm not aware of. But yeah.
That isn't an asshole. Where did all the good men go?
Can someone tell me where I can find a decent, loyal, funny, good-looking guy around here?
This reality is playing out on modern dating apps like Tinder. Data reveals that men swipe right on about...
And the Tinder arguments are so bad. Remember, on Tinder, men outnumber women 5-1. Men outnumber women 5-1. It's not a good pool to draw inferences from.
60% of female profiles, whereas women swipe right on only 4% of male profiles. On account of being scarcely available, these few desirable men are free to set the rules of the dating game. And as the renowned evolutionary psychologist David Buss said in 2015, research overwhelmingly shows that men harbor, on average, a greater desire for sexual partner variety.
So what you see, where there is a surplus of women and a scarcity of men, is more casual dating, because the men get to make the rules. If there are fewer men than there are women, the women have to compete, and the only way that they can compete is by playing the game that the men want.
This sexual paradigm has long been referred to as hookup culture, and it often sees attractive women moving from one short-term relationship to another, unable to tie down the men they desire to committed, long-term, monogamous relationships.
I don't know how I always end up in the exact same situation. It's always great. And I feel like these people I meet, I'm like, wow, like I'm finally clicking with somebody. And then it's always the same thing. They're not in a place where they are looking for a relationship. They have other things that are more important. And I'm just like
She got played by the Chad hypergamy guy.
Never good enough.
Every single boy I go on a date with, yeah.
The study about women earning more than men also says that the trend reverses with a vengeance. Well, yeah, but like, isn't that kind of to be expected? When age 22 to 29, women earn an average of 1,111 more than men, but the roles reverse with a vengeance once 30 is hit. That's not really saying once 30 is hit, though. That's saying that how old the women are now, right? Like, this is a weird statement. Women in their 20s have reversed the gender pay gap, but their earnings power is still overtaken by men later in life. Isn't that because older women were from an older time, from a different standard? If younger women are getting more degrees and that are getting higher paying jobs, would we expect to see wages flip once those same women hit 30? That doesn't make sense to me. I could be wrong, but it's like saying, imagine in the year 2000, every woman starts weight training and every man is ordered to never lift a weight in his life. And then in 2025, we say women in their 20s are way stronger than men now. But once they hit their 30s, it changes completely. And it's like, well, no, wait, hold on. It's a different kind of, there are different women in their 30s and women in their 20s, right? Because generally, I've heard this said so many times, the biggest predictor of wealth and wage, one of the biggest predictors is usually age, because your earning typically rises through your life. Well, relative to a person, your earnings will typically raise. So it'd be interesting that all these women are out-earning men in their 20s, and then in their 30s it's going to flip. Like, I don't think that seems weird, but who knows? I guess we'll see.
I want a relationship. Oh, I'm just looking for the right person. I'm so loyal. Like, I just want a relationship. We have a really good date, and then I just don't hear from them again. Or I do for like a couple of days, and then they ghost. Like, I've seriously fucking had enough. I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life.
There was a time when if men wanted to have sex, they had to marry you. Whereas now, the price of sex is Netflix and chill. So the standards have changed, and we've allowed them to change because we wanted to prove that we could do it just as bad as the boys. And I think that is backfiring.
The result is a quite distorted sexual marketplace.
If you have more lax rules around casual sex before marriage and birth control, which means that you can have sex without fear of having children, that means that women can have sex with high-value men who are perhaps higher value than they would usually have access to, which then skews their goals moving forward about who they want to be in a long-term relationship with.
Because when they were sleeping with these really attractive guys, they thought, okay, this person is attracted to me because I'm on his level, not knowing that men drastically reduce their standards when it comes to casual situations.
And if you do have this experience with this guy and it was a fantastic experience and you're head over heels for him, you want to replicate that experience in the next sort of relationships you have. But if that guy that you're dating doesn't...
it gets into the anecdote. I wish there was a way to like measure this. I just don't believe this happens. I don't believe this happens. That a woman fucks a guy that is like making a ton of money. She's like, I'm only gonna date guys like this one guy that I fucked. I don't believe it. It feels male driven to me. Maybe it's true, but it doesn't. I don't think that reality plays out this way.
Quite reach that standard, you're never going to be happy.
Men, on the other hand, are struggling not only to find long-term partners.
This graph gets played so much. Didn't this trend reverse for the in 2020? Didn't this number for men come down? Somebody looked that up, the GSS. I don't remember if I read that or not. I might be making that up. Somebody check it. But I know that because there's this huge hike from 2017 to 2018, and now people are playing it like it's fucking over.
But even to have sex at all, sadly, many have become too apathetic and devoid of confidence to even bother trying.
I feel like possibly my self-esteem is like so low that I've subconsciously ruled out the possibility of ever like getting a girlfriend or whatever.
Generally speaking, the only people who are significantly benefiting from this state of affairs are the limited number of high-status men.
That top slice of playboys, they're having simultaneous relationships all back to back. It's great for them in the short term. It's rubbish for the other men, and it's also rubbish for the women because you end up with women who actually really want to have loving, intimate, monogamous relationships and they don't feel like they can.
If other groups are in fact gaining from this condition, it's primarily those in the middle and upper classes.
Studies have suggested that hookup culture is in fact predominantly a middle class phenomenon. And the further you are up the socio-economic scale, the more likely you are to be able to enjoy and, get something out of the dissolution of sexual norms. But the further down the socio-economic scale you go, the more likely that is to result in chaotic lives, eking out an existence with 4 kids by 4 dads and a fly-by-night partner who beats up your children when you're not looking. It's not obvious to me that that's somehow intrinsically better than a slightly meh marriage to somebody you stop fancying after 10 years.
As things stand, loneliness and frustration reign in an increasingly atomized world. Our society is cultivating a densely populated underclass of men who are destined to remain penniless and alone their entire lives.
And those are the guys who cause problems because they're faced with possibly being zeros in the evolutionary race, and so they are willing to take big risks in order to catapult themselves up the status hierarchy and have a chance to get into the marriage and mating market.
And beyond the threat of violence is the problem of population collapse.
Probably the biggest myth that exists right now is this overpopulation myth, when in fact we have a population collapse problem. Like, people have no idea how fast the population is going to collapse.
If fewer people are reproducing, next generation you have fewer people to reproduce as fewer people are reproducing, and it...
The lifespan is increasing. That's the only reason why the population of Earth isn't plummeting, but it will plummet. The birth rate in the US has been below replacement rate since like 71 or 72. Japan actually went down by 600,000 people last year.
So you're saying people need to be having more kids?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you know a lot of people who have like no kids. Like, how many kids do you guys have?
I got no kids. I mean, that we know of.
None of you guys have... What the fuck?
At the present rate, there'll be a striking...
Elon had enough kids for all of them, don't worry.
...absence of the young people necessary to uphold our society in 50 years' time. And so, if the mating crisis in our society isn't fixed, it may be a very dark road ahead.